Madam President.
Senator from Tennessee.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask that we suspend the quorum call.
Without objection.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. This weekend, the people of Cuba rose up in opposition to their repressive socialist government. I think it's important to be clear on that point because much of the mainstream media is reporting on these protests that makes it sound as if everything is pandemic related. But what's happening in Cuba is not an economic fluke, and every single person serving in this body, working in the media, and analyzing the policy implications knows better than to say otherwise. This isn't the pop socialism touted by the American left. It's not fashionable. There is no empowerment or equality in the socialist regime. There is just starvation, shortages, violence, and failure. For 62 years, the ruling communists have bled the Cuban people dry. And now armed thugs have taken to the streets to repress the opposition at any cost. Make no mistake, this is a test for President Biden. He must draw a line in the sand. I call on my colleagues in the majority and on President Biden and the members of his cabinet to join me in supporting all who would risk their lives to expose the ravages of socialism in Cuba. We must lead in discussions with the UN and the EU and coordinate opposition to this violence being carried out against the people of Cuba. We must demand that the Cuban government allow for a free and open internet and initiate investigations into if and how Havana used technology supported by the Chinese Communist Party to cut off access to the internet just as the protests started gaining mainstream attention. We cannot stand by while communist thugs gun down their own people. We cannot let this become another Venezuela. Just as we stand with the freedom fighters suffering in Hong Kong, on mainland China, and in other socialist regimes around the world, we must stand with the people of Cuba. Meanwhile, we're 6 months into a new era in American politics. The Biden administration is still treating government like a graduate seminar. And the American people are still wondering when their president is going to stop catering to the radical left and start doing his job. As I was back home in Tennessee, I found out many Tennesseans are absolutely disgusted. They've decided that our Democratic colleagues are not serious about doing serious work. Their priorities and the president's priorities have never been further apart. They're looking at those line items the administration is checking off, and all they can see is what the administration refuses to acknowledge, that there are very real consequences to this out-of-control agenda. When President Biden killed the Keystone XL pipeline, Tennesseans did not cheer. All they saw on the horizon were higher gas prices and a vulnerable fuel supply chain. Not 4 months after Biden signed the executive order, the Colonial Pipeline hack showed us what can happen when something interrupts the supply chain. When President Biden opened the border, they knew better than to believe all the hype about this so-called solution to our immigration crisis. And their instincts were spot on. Now the chaos tearing apart communities in the American Southwest is bleeding into communities in Tennessee. For Democrats here in D.C., all of those line items came with zero consequences. Instead of focusing on reality, they're making policy based on a perfect world scenario where consequences are simply collateral damage. Of course, here in the real world, when you talk about collateral damage, you're really referring to the people who pay the price for all of these absurd policies. You know, we read a lot in the news these days about what a struggle it is for the Senate majority to get their bills to the president's desk. Madam President, no struggle over legislation or pay-fors will ever compare to what you're putting the average American through. If we want to talk about pay-fors, let's talk about how Americans are supposed to pay for gas to get to and from work. What happens when they just can't afford it anymore? Inflation is already taking a toll on the average family's ability to pay for their weekly groceries. Supply chain problems have made concerns over paying for raw materials like lumber obsolete. There's nothing to pay for. The American people have lost so many simple things that used to be not easy but manageable. But now, when they ask Washington to shape up and give them a break, all they get in return is the assurance that struggle and loss is all part of the plan. It's July, and we still haven't seen a reasonable infrastructure proposal. No, instead, what we have is a truly insulting two-bill scheme that Senate Democrats concocted in lieu of a mandate for their radical environmental agenda. What will the American people get from this scheme? Well, just a fraction of what could be the largest spending initiative in history will go toward the roads, bridges, and broadband connections that people actually need and are willing to pay for. If Democrats want the more radical line items, they'll have to force it through by abusing the reconciliation process. In a sane world, this wouldn't even be a choice. They wouldn't do it because Democrats know that the kind of spending they're talking about will exacerbate inflation and increase the deficit. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats have all but ignored their duty to keep the country secure. In May, Customs and Border Protection caught more than 180,000 people trying to cross our southern border. Drug seizures were up 18% across the nation. As of the end of June this year, CBP has arrested more than 1 million migrants trying to come into this country. That is right. By the end of June, CBP has arrested more than 1 million migrants trying to come into the country. This is a vulnerability, and I would ask my Democratic colleagues and President Biden why they're not more concerned about it. I would also ask why they're not more concerned about the impending collapse in Afghanistan. The dominoes are falling. Iran wasted no time stepping in to negotiate a deal between the Afghan government and the Taliban. Let's be clear what the Biden administration has done here. By turning their backs on 20 years of hard work and sacrifice in Afghanistan, they created a power vacuum in a strategically important region, knowing that the world's most belligerent state sponsor of terror was waiting to fill the gap. It's time for President Biden to start listening to the people paying the price for his radical agenda. They feel like they're losing their country. They are talking to us about their fear of losing their country and their freedom. They're out of time, and I'll tell you what, they're about to be out of patience. If you bothered to ask them what they want, they'd tell you, get the spending under control, keep this country and our allies safe, and stop distracting yourselves with wish list projects that serve no one but the most radical elements of the Democratic Party. They are not willing to pay for that wish list. I yield the floor.